Tara, thanks so much for being here. Project 2025 is definitely top of mind as we go into November. And one particular component that we wanted to focus on today is the death penalty. The Republicans have seized on crime as a winning campaign issue in previous places and times. As someone who has handled messaging for the GOP before, what do you really hear in this plan to not only enforce federal capital punishment, but to actually expand it as well?
Yeah, this is just part of the overall messaging that the GOP has engaged in since Donald Trump came down the escalator. They've recognized that resurrecting the old playbook from the Nixon days of law and order and fear and loathing of the other is a very motivating and powerful tool for the electorate, whether they create boogeymen. Now, are there legitimate concerns about crime? Sure, it's always been. But the way that they are doing this, they're trying to really put forth this authoritarian way of approaching these things and desensitizing people to them by using certain language under the guise and auspices of just public safety. And we're just trying to protect you. Doesn't this make sense? Of course it does. But Republicans are very good at using language that bonds them to their audience. For example, it's very deliberate that they use the term mandate in the title of Project 2025 and a conservative promise. I remember back in 1994 when I worked on the Contract with America election cycle, way back when I was a young, wide-eyed, bushy-tailed Republican. The Contract with America was another example of messaging where the Republicans spoke directly to the American people saying, we are engaging in a contract with you. If you elect us, this is what we promise to do for you. And that resonated, and Republicans won the Congress back for the first time in 40 years. They're trying to do something similar here with Project 2025, but the contents of what's in that is scary and should really scare the bejesus out of every American as we dissect this more and more, given how authoritarian and fascist it really is.
Yeah, and the person who would lead that authoritarian party would be Donald Trump. So let's talk about the fact that in 1989, during the trial of the Central Park Five, Donald Trump took out full-page ads in the major New York papers with a blunt headline, "Bring back the death penalty." And all 5 of those men were exonerated 13 years later. Trump's never showed any remorse for those statements, Tara, and here's some of what he's actually said about the issue in recent years. Take a quick listen.
We can have all the blue ribbon committees we want, but if we don't get tough on the drug dealers, we're wasting our time. Just remember that. We're wasting our time. And that toughness includes the death penalty. We're going to be asking everyone who sells drugs, gets caught selling drugs, to receive the death penalty for their heinous acts, because it's the only way.
Tara, in Trump's final months in office, 13 death row inmates were put to death. There had not been a federal execution in 17 years prior. And Tara, you and I always speak frankly, so let's do that now. It's a dog whistle, too, because there is a disproportionate representation in our criminal justice system from communities of color. Knowing all of that, including his position on the Central Park Five, do you think that this is just a way to legitimize and to codify going after communities of color?
Well, Donald Trump's history, as we all know, of racism and bigotry is pretty well documented. And sure, that now it's not even a dog whistle anymore. It's like it's the Trump train whistle. It's very obvious. You know, this is something about Donald Trump that I think has concerned me about the normalization of his behavior and his malignant narcissism and his obsession and fantasizing about death and violence. That's the sign and characteristic of a very weak, insecure man. He thinks that all this tough talk and rhetoric against people like this is somehow a show of strength. It's not. He's a weak little man trying to play strong man, and he thinks that that works. You know, this is not the only thing that he's talked about putting people to death over. He wanted to put General Milley to death over the fact that General Milley was trying to protect our country on January 6th. He wanted to put a staffer to death for treason because they leaked that he was hiding in a bunker during protests. Remember what happened in Lafayette Square? We're almost coming up on the 4-year anniversary of that Gestapo tactic that he used to push down protesters. He's bragged about China having the answer to drugs by putting people to death. Like, this is a very sick and twisted man that gets off on this idea of violence And when you put someone like that in a position of power and they implement something like Project 2025, which is basically putting a strong federal government in place of the elected officials in this country and our balance of government, there's nothing conservative or Republican about that. That's authoritarian. And that's what Donald Trump does. So my message to my Democratic friends who think that they can just sit on their hands or throw a temper tantrum about what's going on because they're not getting everything they want from President Biden, you just think about what President Trump wants to do in this country, from everyone, from women's rights to people of color, to people who want to protest, to people who want to have freedom, to women's reproductive rights, to voting rights in this country, to just basic judicial justice. Donald Trump will ruin all of that. Joe Biden wants to protect that for this country. Maybe it's imperfect, but it's better than authoritarianism because you can't turn back from that. That's my warning.
And amen. Tara Setmayer, thanks for being here, as always, and bringing it. I appreciate it.
Thank you.